Good afternoon. It's a pleasure for me to introduce this web talk today. Our title is, What Does It All Have to Do with Us? Practices of commemoration and remembrance of the Holocaust in Germany and in Italy. We are organizing this event, and I'm here in Stuttgart with Elke Banabak, that is a founder member of the Initiative Lern und Gedenkort Hotel Silber. And we are introducing, as you can see, a talk that will involve many individuals and institutions today, and also many generations, many different generations. So younger and more activists that are already established. Our event is organized, as I told you, by Gariwo. I represent it as an ambassador. It is a foundation, an Italian foundation based in Milan. It was created 20 years ago with the intention to promote figures of righteous. And today we are celebrating a very important day for us, that is the European Day of the Righteous. European Day of the Righteous, after the initiative of our founder and president, Gabriele Enissin, was recognized by the European Parliament and after also by the Italian Parliament. We mark with this day Moshe Beisky, a very important person of the Yad Vashem, and a person that worked very hard to promote Schindler, first of all, as a figure that many of us know very well, and then many other righteous that made the difference during the Holocaust, that made something that the great majority of the populations of our countries, Italy and Germany, didn't even think to do. Our web talk today will, as I told you, involve many initiatives and many individuals, and it started with the idea of thinking about the past and at the same time thinking about the future. What does it mean? Of course, Italy and Germany are key countries in the memory of the Holocaust because of the horror and the crimes that both our countries has perpetrated. And at the same time, some of these initiatives that has been created because of that have been very active also in promoting values that goes also inspiring also the present and the future of different generations, and giving motivation to also to the youth to be active, not only for the memory that is not important but fundamental, but also for a present that is again in our times making questions that should be solved. And the inspiration of the past for us is very important. That's the reason we created this web talk today. I don't want to take much time because, as you can see, we have many guests that are very important. We have today with us Petra Quintini, Tobias Rieger, and Lorenzo Cusati. All of them are from Friedenscamp, Campo della di Sant Anna di Stazzema, a very important initiative that has been created between Italy and Germany, starting from the past and inspiring also many youth, as we will see, to be active in a transnational way also in the present, and we hope in the future. Then we have with us Sabrina di Carlo, that is a founder of Spostiamo Mari e Montri. Sabrina has a great experience, not only dealing with very beautiful projects dealing with the Holocaust and involving youth, but also in many projects that are dealing like migration with the contemporary issues. We have also with us today Manuel Tavares and Antonio Mayimona. They are from Johann Friedrich von Cotta Schule in Stuttgart, and together with the Kickers, a very beautiful football team, and Stolperstein Initiative, they have created a wonderful project about Julius Baumann, a project that got also a prize. Unfortunately, there was another guest with us today, Martin Ganson, a teacher, a very active teacher from Cotta Schule. Because of some very serious private issues, he couldn't be with us today. We have also with us today Dr. Francesco Ferrari, who is the coordinator of the Jena Center for Reconciliation Studies. That is a center that is part of the University of Jena, but is also very active in dealing with many contemporary issues, and it will be also very interesting to know what experience they bring also to us today. I don't want, as I told you, to take much of your time because we have many guests, and I hope you will enjoy much what they say. And I give my word now to Elke Banabak, that is a founding member of Hotel Silber, the Initiative Lern und Gedenkort Hotel Silber. That is also a very beautiful initiative that was created trying to save the building of the Gestapo in Stuttgart and becoming a beautiful museum that is also promoting many contemporary issues, starting from many projects that are involving not only memory, but also the present and the future. Elke, please.
Hello and welcome from me. I'm pleased to have you all here. It's a beautiful thing we are doing here, in spite of all the troubles that we're in with our projects at the moment. So not being able to travel and things. So we try to make something good out of not traveling. Very welcome, Sabrina di Carlo. I would like to start with you presenting your project that is, as I read, really beautiful. And this is your floor right now.
Thank you, Elke, and good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for inviting me and inviting our association, Spostiamo Mari, that literally translate with we move seas and mountains or something like that. That was born in this complex historical and social context with the aim of continuing and finding new ways to defend, promote, and disseminate the values of the resistance, anti-fascism, historical memory, supporting sustainable behaviors and the affirmation of the rights of all through the creation of communities capable of promoting and embodying active citizenship actions necessary to develop the democratic fabric in a participatory key, favoring the rebirth of free and critical thinking in concert and in support of the education in public schools. We identify as our founding moment the first campsite organizing Riace last summer, a project of education for peace, hospitality, solidarity, and capable of creating communities that travel towards the same goal in these hard times we are living in. It was a campsite to tell the stories of the rescuers and the writers in the Mediterranean, people who do not want to wait for the world to change direction, but who take responsibility. And it was a camp of civil commitment, training and participation on the themes of hospitality and integration, respect for human rights and the environment in which we live. We've been working on projects about active citizenship for many years, and in particular, I think that the most famous is the Train of Memory, where we built our experience. These are trips that begins from the school, where we meet the boys and the girls of the last 2 years of secondary schools that choose to undertake this journey. And during the school year, we try to give them the tools they need to find their way around these issues and across Europe, following different lines, historical and geographical lines. Some groups passed from Prague, others from Berlin, others from Budapest, and to converge towards Krakow and Auschwitz and Birkenau camps. During these years, we traveled with thousands of students and with many partisan former deportee survivors. And today that the last of them are departing, we know that we need to save the memory of the events, and not just on January 27 or on the Liberation Day, but every day in every town, because you can't teach the memory. Memory needs to be practiced and exercised. And so when we ask to the people why they want to embark on this journey, they answer not to forget. And we are so used to listen to these words that we never ask ourselves what is that we should not forget. For sure, it is important to know the facts, but first of all, we need to know these people, their stories, their families, before they became victims. Their stories are the texture of our journey. And we think we need to move our focus from remembrance to identify the reasons and the political and social and cultural situation that create the conditions for this to happen. So that the study of the past becomes a key to reading the present. And this way we discover that very ordinary people with the same flaws we have, having been capable to perform acts of amazing bravery like Gariwo teaches us. And the issue to place is that every person has the chance to act. So we used to say that our journey begins when we come back. And this experience should inspire a strong engagement, reflecting personal activation as citizen and always more aware. That's why our method takes the cue from the peer education in a change of perspective that where the youngest are protagonists in the educational system. And the student come on talking about the journey and maybe decide to attend the training to guide younger students the next year. But above all, we hope that they begin to act in their cities, in their neighborhood, and in solidarity projects or active citizenship paths. We are networking with the organization like Gariwo in this direction to promote our joint issues in the schools to make the people aware about the writers, like a powerful educational tool to reflect on the present, on the crisis of Europe and the writers of our time. And we can also do it in public spaces, places of memory, meeting and dialogue, like the Garden of Writers are. And we are opening 2 new gardens here in the Torino area where I am, involving schools in the project, or in our summer camps. And this year, one camp will be in Riace again, and that, as you probably know, is a seaside village in a depopulated and economically deprived area in the south of Italy, that has become a symbol, a model of integration for thousands of migrants. That measure of Riace, Domenico Lucano, as you know, has the intuition to turn the arrival of migrants into a win-win situation, providing opportunities for the newcomers and revitalizing the local community. We meet what remains of the global village after the right-wing attack that almost destroyed the project, and we face with the illegal hiring issue, visiting the tent city of San Ferdinando, where many migrants live in terrible condition also today. And the other camp will be in Val di Susa, here in Piemonte, near Turin. We will stay in a mountain refuge near the border with France, where many migrants try to cross it, often during the winter season, walking through the snow with rubber slippers or little more, and where many volunteer organizations try to help and cure them. And so in the end, today, there are signs. There's a resurgence of nationalism and sovereignism, and we have the responsibility as individuals and association, organization, communities to build the networking, a network that already exists because it makes us interact today and then needs to be activated and kept alive. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That was really beautiful. Thank you. And I think we will have, I hope we will have time to talk about this, the things that you said some more. I would now like to ask the Sant Anna project, and I think you really have a lot in common in lots of senses. And I would like to ask the Sant Anna project now to present their project.
Of young Italians, young Germans, like an exchange program, so to speak. And it's taking place in Tuscany, in Italy, and in Stuttgart, Germany. Yeah, coming together in a common, let's say, endeavor to reflect Italian and German history and German and Italian past, but also to design and maybe to outline European future. The origins go way back to a dark period of Italian-German history. It is based on It is based on a massacre during the Second World War, when German soldiers, SS and Wehrmacht soldiers, butchered over 400 civilians in Sant Anna di Stazzema in Tuscany, Italy. And the atrocities took place on the 12th of August, 1944. Even though the fact that directly after the war, Allied forces started investigations, soon after the beginning of what we later call the Cold War, the matter went silent for decades. So the surviving people of the massacre kept silent as well for years. And more or less by accident, actually, the massacre got rediscovered in the late 90s in Italy, and officials in La Spezia opened a trial. And during this lawsuit, 10 back then still living former soldiers, German soldiers, perpetrators of the massacre, were charged with mass murder and committing the atrocities. And in 2005, the Italian court decided the verdict and brought those 10 people to justice. And the highest Italian court confirmed the verdict. So at least in theory, we had justice, but because the 10 German soldiers weren't present in court, international law allows countries not to deliver its own people and letting them prosecuted by a foreign court. So German officials, German government rather wanted to bring Germans in front of a German court, prosecuting and convicting them by German law. But that was actually the plan. And the state attorney of Stuttgart got instructed to investigate in this matter. And after 10 years, I just have to repeat it, after 10 years, the state attorney said 2012, there won't be even a trial. There won't be even a trial. They have closed the investigations due to reasons of not provable specific brutality of the massacre, which is actually really absurd. So after a legal aftermath, which I just gonna mention briefly, where the state attorney of Stuttgart got corrected by another German court, it was too late, and the last living perpetrator of those originally 10 perpetrators was incompetent for trial. So too sick, too old to stand trial. And I guess he died last year or 2019. So as you can see, even though the massacre took place far in the past, the actions are still present. So it was a sad ending. Well, it seemed to be an end, but actually it was the moment where the peace camp saw the light of day, because a few organizations and initiatives based here in Stuttgart couldn't accept the fact of this injustice. So they got in touch with the survivors and the relatives of the victims, and with the support of the Prime Minister of our federal state here in Baden-Württemberg, we could arrange the first peace camp in 2017. So it's around about a 2 weeks long meeting between young Italians, so people, students, and young Germans, and a meeting with the surviving members of the massacre of Sant Anna di Stazzema. And those 2 weeks are in Italy, and after a short period of time, it's revisiting in Germany. So Germans coming to Italy and Italians coming to Germany. And this year, 2021, marks the 5th anniversary of this peace camp. So we are quite proud of it that it lasted so long so far. So I hope now we can maybe see a little video of the project.
Prende la parola un rappresentante dei ragazzi partecipante al Campo della Pace.
Mai più sant'anne. Queste parole, che Enrico ripete molto spesso, sono significative per noi, perché semplici e dirette. Rispecchiano la nostra speranza che fatti del genere non si ripetano mai più. È È questo infatti lo scopo del Campo della Pace. Il Campo della Pace siamo noi, 17 giovani cittadini del mondo che vivono attualmente in Italia e Germania, che incontrandosi in un luogo come Sant Anna di Stazzema cercano di capire come tutto questo sia potuto succedere, lavorando insieme e approfittando del confronto di diversi punti di vista. Facendo inoltre tesoro delle parole di Ennio Mancini, Adele e Siria Fardini e di Enrico Chieri, con i quali abbiamo avuto l'immenso onore di parlare, ci siamo resi conto di avere l'obbligo di ricordare queste storie, poiché non avremo per sempre l'opportunità di incontrare direttamente i testimoni, conoscerli e di farci ispirare da loro. Un momento particolarmente significativo per noi è stato quando Ennio ci ha consegnato il suo libro, Sant Anna di Stazzema, 12 agosto 1944, lo hanno fatto anche a te, perché ha passato nelle nostre mani il testimone della sua memoria. Questo gonfalone fatto da noi al Campo della Pace rispecchia il percorso che abbiamo fatto in questi giorni di riflessione e il messaggio che vogliamo trasmettere al mondo. Un messaggio fatto di rispetto dei diritti umani, di fratellanza e di pace. I 12 bambini che si tengono per mano facendo un girotondo sono una testimonianza sia della foto simbolo di Sant Anna di Stazzema, sia delle 12 stelle della bandiera europea, sottolineando la nostra volontà di un'Europa unita, che si dà di nuovo la mano per risolvere i problemi del nostro mondo, che sarà possibile solo attraverso l'unità. La colomba, simbolo di pace, è formata dalle impronte delle nostre mani, per rappresentare la responsabilità di ciascuno di noi a mantenere viva la memoria e a far rispettare i diritti umani. La citazione mai più stantane ai colori dell'arcobaleno, a significare che per noi questa frase ha una visione ottimista e di speranza del mondo e del futuro. Non vogliamo che Sant Anna resti un posto di tristezza, ma un posto che ci apra gli occhi per un mondo che vive in pace e in armonia, per un mondo colorato.
Io 74 anni fa un'intera divisione di SS, la 16ª divisione SS Reichsführer.
Andate sotto il letto e lei poverina gli avevano messo tutti i cuscini sul letto perché non ce la faceva andare giù.
Mio babbo quella mattina, siccome avevamo dei terreni in Cacciadiavoli, ha preso 2 donne e 2 uomini e sono andati a questo terreno a vedere delle vesti. Io sono rimasta con la mamma perché aveva la bimba di 20 giorni.
Non so se ci sono riuscito o no, però vi devo dire che la mia famiglia e la famiglia Martiri, la famiglia Pierotti sono state seppellite lì dove avete visto. Questa è la mia giornata del 12 agosto 1942.
Thank you very much for this lovely video. I think I don't need to tell you that this is a project that's very dear to my heart. And I hope later we have some more time to elaborate a little bit on it. And maybe you were able to see that this is a project that is really precious for the people in Sant Anna as well as for us. So to make the next step, I would like now to talk to Antonio and Manuel about the project in the Kotterschule in Stuttgart, which is a project that it deals with places as well, but it's the places that you live in. The Stolpersteine are a monument that you encounter on your daily, in your daily life. And maybe you can just start and tell us a little bit about the project Julius Baumann that took place at the Kotterschule. Who of you will start talking?
Me or Tavares?
No, Antonio, you can start if you want to. You're welcome. Antonio is one of the actors of the play that I directed, so be my guest. You can start.
Yeah, the project is about dude referee, and he lives in the east side, and I played the role from his best friend to told him to go away from Germany to save himself, but Julius Baumann was a human who thinks about the other ones. He just want to help. If everyone dude people safe, so he feel like, okay, I done my job. And that was the problem of the theater game, and so yeah, and that's what about, and especially what about it, yeah.
Well, maybe some more information about Julius Baumann. He was a referee and a member of the Stuttgarter Kickers, and as soon as the Nazi party took over, he wasn't allowed to participate in the games and to work as a referee anymore. And he had the opportunity to flee to Great Britain to save himself, but he rather stayed to be there for the children, for the Jewish children. He organized a sports camp and even food. And this was his doom, we can say, because at one time, one occasion, German Gestapo Beamter caught him stealing or organizing food for the children, and so he was killed because of that. So, and Antonio played the part of his best friend, who and the voice of reason to flee the situation. Yeah. Maybe we can show the little clip now.
Es ist halt so, dass die Einstellung, die politische, die sagt nicht am Kassenhäuschen, so jetzt geh du mal Fußball gucken und dann ich warte mal auf dich und bleib draußen. Also zum einen ist es halt natürlich für Fans interessant, die Vereinsgeschichte besser kennenzulernen, und wir wollten halt speziell noch herausstellen, wie sich gesellschaftliche, politische Umbrüche auch auswirken auf alle.
Das Buch ist eine Wettspielchronik, die ein privater Sammler dem Kickersverein überlassen hat, und wir haben das Buch genutzt, um zu recherchieren, und uns ist da eben aufgefallen, dass manche Seiten rausgerissen sind, die wahrscheinlich zum Nationalsozialismus gehören, was für uns jetzt aber gute Recherchearbeit war, um zu sehen, wie ist der Verein mit dieser Zeit umgegangen.
Parallel hat eben die Kotterschule sich auch mit Fußball im Nationalsozialismus insgesamt beschäftigt, aber eben auch der Person, dem Schicksal von Julius Baumann. Also Julius Baumann war Schiedsrichter bei den Kickers gewesen. Wir haben uns mit ihm befasst, mit seiner Biografie, die ja wirklich sehr bewegend ist, die uns auch sehr beeindruckt hat, bewegt hat. So kam der Kontakt zwischen Kotterschule und uns.
The honour goes to the Kickers fan project, to the school here, and to everybody else that is working for the improvement of this positive cultural connection with each other.
Ja, wir haben ein Theaterstück eine kleine Rolle gehabt, aber es hat uns wir haben mit dieser Rolle viel gelernt.
Ja, und wir haben sowas erlebt. Rassismus gibt es in jedem Land. Und es war so ganz Schreckliches. Deswegen. Und ich fand es sehr gut, was Julius Baumann gemacht hat. Und war so ein Held, sage ich jetzt mal.
Ich rede doch nicht nur von diesen Idioten, Mann.
Denkst du, das weiß ich alles nicht?
Dann verschwinde doch endlich! Bring's in Sicherheit!
Wir ziehen immer aus ein Stück Parallelen zu heute, was heute passiert, was jetzt gerade passiert. Und halt, dass jetzt immer noch ein aktuelles Thema ist und das immer noch nicht vorbei ist.
I feel that it's not really about my family and the project around me. It's about these young people over here and many of the others in the school. So I think they have the courage. These guys are the heroes. They're our heroes of today.
Thank you for bringing this video here. Maybe it needs a little bit of an explanation afterwards.
It needs.
Can you just elaborate a little bit on who was involved and who was
in the end? We cooperated with the Stuttgarter Kickers. This is a soccer club here in Stuttgart, and they kind of let me translate it. Kind of worked in a bigger project with us. We also managed to get in touch with the great niece of Julius Baumann, with the AnStifter. You saw her in the clip, and it was more a part of a bigger project. This project with Julius Baumann, the theater part, started very small. So we started by only showing fragments of his life and use as less text as possible, so not to start at some point. And it developed over a year and a half, the time period of a year and a half, to this great theater play. So, Antonio, anything?
Yeah, it was about the time. Oh, what was the question again?
About how it was for you to participate in this project and to play this role.
Yeah, I think it was very exciting for us because just in the school they just teach us about it, but in this project we learn more about like how they live, and we study more of this, and so I think it was very important for all of us, and hope everyone get a chance to do something like that.
I also heard that you planted a tree with Gariwo. So this was one of the branches that you also had with the project, and you had this beautiful network, and you came to know this great niece of Baumann. This is quite an exciting transnational experience as well, I think.
Yes, it's good as you mentioned that this tree that you just mentioned, it was a kind of a sad situation, but also a good one, because we planted this tree in honor of Julius Baumann, and a few weeks after we planted it, it got torn apart and thrown away from some person around who lives nearby the school. So we had to actually replant this tree. So you can see on that this is a very actual, a very present issue and a topic, and not outdated at all.
Thank you. When we start talking to Dr. Francesco Ferrari now, who is at the Center of Reconciliation that is based in Jena, we will maybe hear how recent this issue might become. Maybe. I just give you the floor to present your project and talk to us. Thank you for waiting this long.
Thank you very much for the invitation. So yes, our center is the Jena Center for Reconciliation Studies. It is a research center that is based at the University of Jena that is working on a concept, reconciliation, which is also very practical. We define reconciliation as the re-establishment of relationships after a violent event. And this event, considered in historical terms, can be something like atrocities, genocides, wars, dictatorships, segregation, and crimes against humanity. So we ask ourselves, how is it possible for individuals or groups to reshape relationships with the other after such a massive wrongdoing? Reconciliation studies are therefore a transdisciplinary and multi-scale scientific field that focuses on individual, group, intergroup, and political dynamics. We look at the dynamics of reconciliation for societies in conflict or in transition based on comparative international case studies. Actually, we started here in the Eastern Germany, studying the German unification and the question of reconciliation between the former GDR and the Western Germany. And then we developed on a worldwide scala analysis on societies after massive human rights violation. We developed studies, for instance, on South Africa, now 20 years after the end of the apartheid. We developed studies also on ongoing and protracted conflict, like the one in Israel and Palestine. So we worked, therefore, integrating the fields of several disciplines, like theology, philosophy, ethics, psychology, sociology, political science, and so on, because we think that conflicts cannot just be solved by technical approaches, by conflict transformation or resolution, but on the contrary, are rooted on narratives that are fueling the conflict. Therefore, in order to understand conflict, we need to go deeper. We need to focus also on practices like public policies, collective memory, trauma therapy, and so on. So we see in an holistic approach how reconstructing relationships in the wake of violence involve many areas also of expertise. So our experts are academic institutions, but also civic organizations, so are also NGOs. And we have therefore also some projects also worldwide, like a project funded by the DFG, which is called Hearts of Flesh Not Stone, Encountering the Suffering of the Other. This project is based on the reception of places of memory in the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. It addresses, for instance, how the Holocaust is taught in Palestinian schools and how, from the other side, the Nakba is taught in Israeli schools. And in our project, we facilitated the possibility for each group to visit the places of memory of the other group. And we also made questionnaires trying to assess if visiting the place of suffering of the other will develop more willingness to reconcile. What does it happen when a group of Palestinians visit a concentration camp in Germany? Or what does it happen when a group of Germans is visiting some places of a so-called Nakba in Palestine? So those are our questions about the places of memory as places that where the narrative of groups are connecting past and present in a very close way. At the same time, as an academic organization, we have also a doctoral school that is called Religion, Conflict, Reconciliation. We have nowadays some 20 PhD students from all over the world studying reconciliation dynamics on different conflicts and also from different transdisciplinary approaches. And we organize then every semester, also in pandemic times, activities, encounters. We have also, we are also observing a barometer of the reconciliation dynamics in the Colombian conflict, which has been recently solved, at least in the sense that has been signed a peace agreement. But what we are doing is also to observe to which extent signing a peace agreement is unlikely, not always the real end of a conflict, but many times it's just the prosecution of conflict through other ways. And our expertise is then lends and remains stored in publications. We have a series of books that is called Research in Peace and Reconciliation by the publisher Van den Heuvel and Ruprecht. Mostly our publications are in English. Also, our teaching activities are in English. And yes, I can also send you the link of our institute if you want to learn more about us. We are very happy also in networking. And we have established last year an international association for the study of reconciliation, which involves many universities from all over the world, from Japan to South Africa to the United States. And once again, we are also very much happy to make joint activities with the civil societies, because we think that reconciliation is not just a theoretical thing, but rather something that is always in the middle of a conflict and in the middle of reality, not just after the conflict, but also can start also now. Thank you so much.
Thank you. We are really interested in your links. I think we all are. And Simone and I have decided to collect all your links and information and later put them on our websites for all our audience to find out about it. And I think what we have seen in the first round is that we're all trying by different means or methods to find the connection between the atrocities in the past that we observe and our recent issues and our actual time, the time we live in, and to make it something that we can stand on and to have a perspective into the future. I think I have heard that, and therefore it's important for us to network between us. And I think there's I seen Lorenzo very interested. Probably you can talk later. I have a set of individual questions for you. Some of them I felt were already answered, but I'm asking them anyway, and we would try to have a conversation among each other. I will start with you, Sabrina, and you, because we had some time to think about what you said, and maybe I would like to ask you again, why is it so important to go places? Why travel? And what's the important benefit of what you called the peer education?
Yes, thank you, Elke. Travel today is a dream, a wish maybe, but it remains our elective tool because it's a typical human experience and is a tendency that the majority of individuals carry within as a typical characteristic of being from the beginning of time. It is a moment of growth and acquisition of self-awareness. The journey, anthropologically speaking, is an important event for the creation of one's identity and sociality, and it is nothing but a metaphor for life. You learn through action, in this case through the journey, which has always been considered a formative experience, often a rite of passage to adulthood, and certainly considered inscribed among the experience of non-formal or informal education. which deals with the detachment from what is known and familiar and offers the encounter with the new and the stranger, trains us to face management of unexpected and the ability to solve problems and adapt. So many skills that you need to improve. And travel creates a special group, a real community that we hope will survive beyond the journey. And it often happens. About the peer education, we learned that this change of perspective that we said before, where the youngest are protagonists of the educational system, really works. It's very effective when knowledge is conveyed peer-to-peer, because it's between people with similar ages, similar languages, same tools, same problems. So that is why we offer a training course each year to the young people that want to guide the younger in this journey, and where they can attend many lessons with historians, psychologists, philosophers, linguists, educators, and so on, many professors from the university here in Turin or in Italy at all. If I'm able to, and if I have some seconds, I would like to show you some photos, if I can, sharing my screen from the summer camp.
Hang on,
I try.
Probably be able to give you the opportunity to share your screen. We didn't practice that.
I try, if it's possible, or it's not a problem, but I'm trying to do it.
No, she wants to share her screen. So yes, you can.
You can?
Yes.
You can see it?
I can see it, and I hope our audience can. Great.
So this is the campsite near Riace, in a hill near Riace, in an orange trees camp. A meeting on the beach. And yeah, you can see the entrance of the Villaggio Globale in Riace, and then the tent city that we said before, the former one below that now was destroyed, and the new one built from our government. And then some happy moments in the central square of the village, that is the heart of the village, here with the people who travel with us and with the people who live there. In the photo below, you can see Padre Alex Zanotelli that was with us this summer. And then in the bigger one, we are making tomato sauce with the guests and the other people that live there. And then some happy moment again in the central square. As you know, the man in the center with a black T-shirt is Domenico Lucano, the former sindaco, the former mayor of Riace, and some moment again. That's all.
Thank you.
Now I try to
stop.
Yeah, yes, I'm trying to do it. Wait.
And you will have to tell us how people can participate because it looks really nice.
Yeah.
How can people find you? Maybe you can send your information to us and we put it on.
Yes, of course. And I will try to. I don't know why I can't enter. Okay. Yes. Sorry. Yes, I will send you the information to participate. We didn't have we don't have the exit periods for this year because it's a strange year, as you know, and so we are trying to move in the organization of the summer camp. I think that this one in Riace will be in the second half of August. And the other one here in Piemonte, near Turin, will be at the end of the school year. And so between the end of June and the beginning of July, we are trying to understand how also the school moves this year, because everything is changing day by day here. So we are trying to organize, but it's something like that. In Riace, we can go in the second half of August.
Okay. So we have to just keep in touch and share the information and go from day to day. So,
yes, we have a Facebook page. If the students and the guys would like to contact us, they can do it on Facebook. For the moment.
You've seen the Sant Anna people nodding because we're all facing the same problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just going further. Moving on to you, Antonio. I wanted to ask you some things. We just heard about peer-to-peer education. So you took a special role in this drama play that you were in. How did you get involved? Did the teachers ask you to, or did you hear about the history and said, "Oh, that's interesting, I want to be a part of it," or how did it happen? You have to open your mic. Yeah.
Yeah. At first, I was very excited to hear about we got a project like that, and I told Mr. Tavares I want to play a huge role, but not the main role. Because I think I'm not the best actor, but I like the theme. I like the theme, and I think it was a chance to learn more about the NS time, and so I was full body in the team, yeah, in the project. I didn't hear you. You mute. Yeah.
I told you so. What did you like best about the time that you were in the drama? Was there something that really surprised you, or that was not so nice?
Surprise. The big surprise was we was really free. We don't get Tavares don't told us do this. Now we was really free. I think the work was very funful, and everyone has a lot of fun. And I think there's nothing that I don't like, because in the school, the people they like the project as well, and but I think there's nothing that I don't like. I will do it twice. I will do it often. Yeah.
Okay. Were you already interested in history before you started doing this drama play?
A little bit, because I think I learned to less about this time or this team, so that's why I was very excited about the project.
Do you think you're some sort of more aware about it now?
Yeah, a bit, yeah.
Is this like you see more of this story as you're moving on? You graduated from Kotterschule right now.
Yeah, I graduated.
And what you're doing now?
I'm studying international business, okay. But teams like politics also interested me the whole life. Some teams like refugees. I'm really excited. I really like the team, because I think we just live in apart, just like the refugees live in this part, and the people who born in Germany lives in this part. I think the people who born in Germany have the responsibility to get together, to live together with the refugees, and some organized like events. But I know in this time like Corona, it's really difficult. But I think we need to go together forward.
Thank you for this beautiful remark. I just leave it like that. It's really good. Thank you. Maybe I can move on to you, Manuel. I just had your actor. I would like to elaborate on this theory a little bit of drama and the method of drama in the axis of a historic trauma. What do you think is the benefit of playing the role of an historic figure or historic event like this for young people? What did you see happen with them, and what did you try to encourage when they started acting?
Well, first of all, I'm very happy to hear that he had fun playing this role and this play, because the topic isn't that fun at all, but you have to have fun on stage to tell your story. Otherwise, nobody wants to listen to a sad or a happy story either way. So thank you, Antonio. I had a good time as well, and I'm happy to hear that you had it too. Well, first of all, it's important to find a connection to the figure, and it doesn't matter if it's like a fictional figure or a historical one. You have to find a connection, and the main issue that we had is to find this connection between these young people and this time long ago. And there are some connections that we will have in the past, in the present, and in the future. Everybody wants to be loved. Everybody wants to find their place. Everybody wants to live freely, and this is like the main connection that we had. So Julius Baumann had had his place. He was happy with his place, with his job, and they took this from him. So we started by asking the students what is important for you, what is important for you, and not by coincidence, it was sports. So we had the connection there, and then we asked the question, what would you do to keep your sporting event or your hobby? And so they kind of entered by the same interest, and it was then like a short way to relive the actual steps of Julius' life. So we started by finding a connection, and then it was like the major work was done. I didn't have to do anything special. They did it. They invented some of the stories, some of the scenes. They wanted to include a scene where they were participating on a sporting event, and then they had to leave because he was Jewish. And so the main, let me say, the main benefit is that with this play, they kind of relived how it is to be Julius Baumann or his friend or his family, and now they are more aware in today when something like that happens around them, like the tree incident that I mentioned earlier. They are more alert, I guess. I don't know, Antonio, maybe you can say something about that.
Yeah, I think if we involved in some situation where we see some people get some bad words, we can go between them and help them people, something like that. That was a little scene in our situation where what was again, where Julius Baumann gets some bad words, and everyone just looked and listened, but nobody moved. So that was a little benefit. Want to give them the audience to look. Okay, there's a situation, a difficult or different situation, like we usually know. So to act and to react. and that's like wanted to show them, yeah.
And the stage in the theater is like a protected area where they can train these reflexes to get involved and protect other people.
Yeah, I'm getting, it's like establishing some emotional link on the emotional level, probably. So it's something that happens with your heart and with your mind, with your being.
And later they get the information, like the dates and the actual.
Yeah, and you put it all together. This is what I was going to ask Tobias Rieger, because he's the historian in our round. I was going to ask you, Toby, what's the why is it so important to know all the facts in order to be able to access the whole situation, or the whole situation that we are dealing with in our history?
Well, what are the facts that are to know? I mean, for me as an historian, it's challenging to transfer and to discuss historical topics with young ones who are not seeing history as an academic science. So what we're doing in this Campo della Pace, our approach is, when we are looking into history, or even to our current present age, in a way, like there isn't a timeline that was meant to be or is meant to be. There is no inevitable interaction of situations that leads to certain events. There is no automatism. Nothing is ever bound to happen. So history is written by men, and men always have a choice. And to see that men are in position to choose their actions, that there are reasons why people are standing at a crossroads and decide which way to follow. This is something we try to transfer and to discuss with the young ones. So history, like we see it, history is a very human form of science, because the human being is, as an individual, stands in the center. So it's not so much the question why things happened, rather than how they happened. So both questions are important, sure. Logically, they are related, but the answers might lead to different directions. So like the historian Christopher Clark said, the why approach, why something happened, includes the illusion of constantly growing casual pressure. So to speak, it was bound to happen, but that's not the fact. So it's challenging, because with this specific period of time where we're looking into like the Second World War, we are dealing with unparalleled events. The Holocaust, the crimes committed by Germans behind the front lines, the ethnic cleansings, the so-called retribution measures are without or beyond example. So it leads us to a different subject. The question, what motivates man to do actions like this? So to stay in the timeline of Second World War, what motivates ordinary men, to phrase an important landmark in science by historian Christopher Browning. And this matter, it's the greatest dilemma to explain the perpetrator's behavior. So what we think is the answer is it's dogma, it's the ideology. So like Jacob Bronowski said, when people believe they have absolute knowledge with no test in reality, this is how people behave. So therefore we have to cure ourselves for the absolute knowledge and power. So we have to know humans are fallible, and it's possible humans are mistaken. So that's the main approach when we are facing history in our Campo. It's not so much about the facts. Still, facts are important in a way, but we try to move past that and to see more the human individual that stands in the center.
Wow, that was really deep. Thank you. I wasn't hinting at something so deep, but I thought knowing the facts, for me, as I look from the outside, is quite important, because we tend to have forces, especially in Europe, that are trying to reinvent the history and reinvent narratives that that won't help in reconciliation, probably. I'm speaking about the forces from the far right that are trying to diminish the unprecedented. And something else, I'm from a generation, and maybe some of you are too, we grew up with the nie wieder, the never again, the my pew, and all of us, as we are here, we have seen other atrocities come after this atrocity that we are talking about in Second World War. So there's lots of nie widers, my pews, and this is where we start our work, I think. And I think it's inevitable to access the historical facts and know about them and know how to put them in order for oneself, apart from having an emotional approach. That's really important. Sorry, I'm getting carried away now a little bit. I was going to ask Petra about some emotional things. You are one of the founders of the Sant Anna project, and you are at the center of it because of your language skills. You have Italian and German language, and you started founding the project. And I was going to ask you, what impact did this have on your life? Because I know you brought all your daughters to the project, and you are in Sant Anna, you are going in and out of family homes like your family member, and personal relations are quite an important part of the project. And I would like to elaborate on that a little bit more.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Elke. Actually, I started my connection to Sant Anna started earlier, started in 2012 when, as we heard, the Germans were not able to open a trial for the perpetrators in Germany. And I was shocked because I was reading in the newspapers what was going on. And we have to know that Sant Anna was not known, or the massacre of Sant Anna was not even known in Italy until they had this trial in 2005. So I went with a friend to Sant Anna to see what the people, the survivors, their families, what they thought about that. And when I arrived in Sant Anna in 2012, I was deeply ashamed and really shocked what had happened in 2012, that a German court decided not to open a process, which meant that no one in Germany would know about that. Because, I mean, we learned a lot about National Socialism in Germany, but no one knew what the Germans did in Italy, actually, that there were all these massacres was absolutely unknown. And so we asked, what does this do with the survivors? And we came there, and we met survivers and their families, and it was that they were like, well, we were hesitating. We didn't know how to come close to them, and we were astonished as they opened their doors to their homes, and they opened their arms and they opened their hearts, and they were like telling us their stories, and they were like happy that we came to hear their stories. And so we understood that the thing that we could do now, as we couldn't change what had happened in Germany and with the not opening the trial, but was to help them to bring young people to understand, to hear their stories, because they wouldn't become public. So we understood by their behavior how important it is to hear the stories from survivors. And we didn't just want to bring single persons, but we wanted also to make something to bring together young people from Italy and from Germany, because there are very different perspectives of how they see a certain history items, and it's something what also Sabrina says. It's like this peer-to-peer learning, because this happens also in our group. We have the historical input, but one very important part of the Campo della Pace is meeting the survivors and meeting their families, and to see that it's not just history or something that has not to do with us, but it's something that has to do with their life. And it's still going on. It's not finished for them, and so it can't be finished for us either. And so we start to discuss and understand what it has to do with all of us, also with the young guys. So it's the incredible people of Sant Anna. It's the incredible survivors you saw in our short video that really invited us to come and to bring young people. And another amazing fact is that these people, they lost their parents, their brothers and sisters, their whole family. They were survivors, as they were child survivors, and they lost everything. Also their home, their houses, everything was destroyed. And after this had happened, there was no one helping them. The Italians didn't want to hear about them. They wouldn't even believe it. And no one wanted to bother Germany later after the war. So there was this big silence about this that was so terrible. And it's healing to be able to speak about what you heard, what you received. And it's every year when we bring young people to these survivors and they speak with us. It's something, it's life-changing, I would say, for every one of us. And so we have young people that come also the year after and the year after like Lorenzo, who start to be a participant, and then they become an educator. And so it continues. But also, as Tobias said, we understand that it's up to us how we react also to what we see today, what we see, the racism, the right-wing attacks, the populist attacks. That's trying to make people think about it. And we can do this by meeting these survivors or their children or their grandchildren, because it continues. It's like a line.
Maybe Lorenzo, you would like to add something. I saw you getting involved very much.
Yes. I will start to Sabrina di Carlo speech, because we have lots of things in common. In fact, in my school there was a project named Peer Educator, where at the end of 2 years of integration with the other peer educator, you arrive at the point that you are able to speak with people at your same age, and also to give advice for people younger than you in your school. And then also the aspect of Treno della Memoria, a memory train, where I was one of the participants in 2019, and it was a dramatic aspect for me, because I saw something that for me was only on the book, but when I was in Auschwitz, I could hear and touch what it was really, and it shocked me a lot. So from Lucca, my city, we were 8 young students, and we decided with an accord with the mayor of Lucca, trying to speak in all the Lucca's school for our experience. And so at the end of 2019, there was the possibility to go in Campo della Pace, and my German teacher asked me if I would like to participate in, and I accept, and I said, okay, I want to do this experience. And there was really unknown for me also Sant Anna, even if I live in Versilia, that is the region of Sant Anna. And when I arrived, I saw lots of guys that I never saw, and I was a little bit muted because of I had to do integration. But after one day, it was as a family, really. And still today, I stay in contact with guys from Italy, from Germany that I met there. But the things that hit me more was the fact of the survivors. Survivors are really precious for us, because only with the experience of them we can today know what was the reality of the past, and also have the opportunity to have a speech with them. It's very precious, because unfortunately arrived the time where survival cannot live for 300 years. So we have to pass their memory to young people and continue to do that. And this is also the reason why I would like to continue with this project for here. And I want to recommend this project to the other guys, my friends and people. And I would like also to integrate as a project, as a fixed project for school, because of I think that without memory, you can know, and without this real experience, you can know what the reality real is.
Thank you very much. I hope to see you again, and I hope all these projects can start again when this Corona period is letting us out of its grip. Maybe we are reaching the end of our talk today. To close the circle, I would address you, Francesco, to maybe give us some scientific point of view about all this. So how can meeting and exchanging narratives of trauma help in reconciliation processes? Maybe we witnessed some of them today from personal points of view, but how would you make this scientific point about it, and how can all this help? We all, I think, our goal is to make this world in little ways a better place for people to live in and to live together. How can exchanging narratives of trauma help with this process?
Thank you very much. So the first point that I will say, also through our experiences, is that what people need in a protracted conflict is the recognition of their own narrative. Narratives are, so to say, silenced many times, are suffering of being not acknowledged. So there is no willingness to reconcile in a conflict until one group feels that the right to express their narrative is provided, which is something that sometimes can also be controversial, because not all the narratives are desirable, not all the narratives are comfortable. But nevertheless, if reconciliation has to take place, this moment of taking the narrative of the other serious, and also the moral feelings that are related with the narratives. Something that we insist is also the concept of moral feelings. Feelings that are related with the aftermath of a conflict, right? Like resentment, like nostalgia, like regret and remorse, are not just feelings. They express moral point of view. They express statements of ethics, statements of values. And therefore, what we call the irreconcilable in philosophical terms is very close to what in juridical terms is called the unprescriptable, and what in personal meetings terms it is the unforgivable. So actually, those moral feelings that are related with conflict are very much important to be addressed, and they are very close related with the traumatic nature of the suffered wrongdoing. So actually, it seems that the traumatic event we are talking about is not just a private trauma, but rather is a cultural trauma. It's something that shapes a whole group, and therefore the missed recognition of this traumatic event is also perceived by members of a group of a missed recognition of a group as such. Therefore, what we try to do in our center is to work on the understanding of which are the conditions that lead a group to develop a certain kind of narrative, and which are the conditions that lead the other group to hear and to make the narrative of the other acceptable to their ears. Therefore, we are also organizing activities of journeys and of visiting places of memory. Also because we also think that without visiting the real places of the suffering of the other group, it is only, so to say, an half experience. And what we try to do is to understand also the way that, which is the way that leads the never forget to the never again. So, which is a way that is not so obvious. I mean, in the moment that we say never forget, we are making a statement of their memory. We are stating a duty of remembrance. Then what we try to do is to understand how is it possible that the never forget, the duty of memory, translate itself in the never again, which is something much more practical and future-oriented. Thank you.
Thank you. I think that was a good word to close the circle here. And it's my pleasure and my role to thank you all for having been here. And I would, Simone and me, we would like to thank you and thank all your wonderful teams of your projects for your amazing work. And we wish you all the power to see them through these strange times and make new projects. Maybe if we have time at the end, we will write down all your contacts and make our audience find you if they want to take part in your projects. And we would like to thank all the organizations that are cooperating with us, the organizations and the institutions who are funding and supporting our work. And all these informations we will also provide on our web pages. And my role is now to say thank you to you all and stay safe and continue your wonderful work. And I hope to see you all again. Thank you very much.